Did we just silently add an hour to the standard workday or what? Growing up, the standard workday was always described as 9-5. Hell, there's even a song about it, 9 to 5, that's the workday. The last 5 years or so though, I've been hearing more and more people say 8-5 instead. My mom asked me if those were my working hours once and I was like, WTF, no, it's 9-5. Even my wife now starts work at 8 a.m. and her reasoning is that she takes an hour for lunch, so if she worked 9-5 it wouldn't be a full 8-hour workday. What the hell is going on? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. Up until the late 80s, early 90s, an 8-hour shift with a paid lunch was the norm. Once companies decided to stop paying for lunch breaks, people started working 9-hour shifts with unpaid lunch breaks. Then you add on a commute and work takes up your whole day. Technically my workday is 8:30 to 5, with an unpaid 30 minutes for lunch. I, however, completely ignore this and work 9-4-30 instead. And so far no one has called me on it. To be fair, I don't call out my coworkers for the exact same thing. We're all playing fast and loose with the hours. Oh boy, yes. An 8 to 5 schedule hits differently. It's a lot more tiring. It's because they can say, oh well, you've got a lunch hour or half an hour and 15, which doesn't come out of your workday. So we're actually scheduling you for 8 hours, whereas in the past 9 to 5 was your workday, including your breaks. Nah, I'm with you. I have so many friends say they have to work an 8-5 to meet their 8-hour workday requirements. And I'm like, my hour lunch is included in my schedule? I don't have to work an additional hour to make it up. It's one thing if it's the choice of the person, but if it's required by the company, that's when it baffles me most. I only have to work 7.5-hour days and I swear that half hour makes a huge difference. I actually did the math and it means I work 17 less days a year. Yup, but it's been like more than 20 years, not 5. I'm union and have always had paid lunch. Everyone should be paid for it. Yay. I'm technically not working, but I'm still away from my family at the place where I work and don't have time to even leave. I'm still away from home due to work obligations and you should be compensated for that. I've been doing 10-5 because my well of fucks is completely empty. And crazy enough, they let me get away with it. Orientation first day, yes. You have to take a lunch hour and you have to work 8 hours. No, you cannot just eat at your desk. Me, fuck all that shit. I'm salary, not hourly. You want your 40? You'll get your 40. It depends if you get paid lunch or not. If you do, then it's a standard 9-5. If you don't get one, then you gotta work 8 hours and take an unpaid lunch break. So it ends up becoming 8-5 or 9-6. Luckily I get a paid lunch and 2 paid breaks and my hours are indeed 9-5. I start at 9 and leave at 5. Fun fact: Americans are forced to work more hours than any other country on earth too. Edit most in the industrialized world. Been a minute since I looked it up. I'm 9-5-30 because otherwise I wouldn't get a full 8. Company doesn't pay me for lunch, sadly. Paid lunches disappeared so the rich people at the top could pinch a few more pennies. I've always worked 8-5 ever since my first grown-up job 20 years ago. Same, I hate it. Very few people get a paid lunch hour anymore. Hell, very few people get an hour for lunch. Most get 30 minutes unpaid. To be fair, we actually added 90,120 minutes to the workday. This is overwhelmingly why we need WFH standards to eliminate worker burnout. I work 4 days 10 hours a day. That's the creep that happens without strong union protections. Unions are how we got the 40-hour week in the first place. There's a reason corporations are so rabidly anti-union. Damn. Guess I screwed up. I paid my staff for lunch. JK. Didn't screw up, but I did pay them for lunch. I thought it was petty bullshit to make them work longer. I only had trouble with one person who left for an hour then had lunch while she worked when she got back. Basically she tried to finagle a 90-minute lunch. My workday is 6 a.m. to 30 p.m. Not a minute longer. This is what happens when you leave it to the states. At my job, I was curious as to why my holidays federal and state were only paid at 7 hours instead of 8. I contacted HR and they explained that since most people take an hour lunch, they only pay 7 hours on days you are entitled to pay without working vacation, sick, holidays, personal. I didn't push back. Instead I eat my lunch at my desk to remain available. Leave early and claim 8 hours daily. My schedule with an hour of unpaid lunch would be 9-6. However, my work is usually complete for the day by 4:15. So I charge my company an extra 45 minutes for being assholes and playing games. Unions. We need unions. As a union member I am entitled to a paid lunch and breaks. 8 to 5 is what happens when you do not have a union to represent you. I've been working 8-5 or some variation of it my entire working life. I never thought any of it. Thank you. I always feel like I'm going crazy too. Yeah, nah, 9-5 is still shit. Just because there's a song in a movie called 9 to 5 doesn't mean that's what everybody worked. 9 to 5 sounds better as a song and movie title than 8-5. I've been working since 1975 and never had a job that was just 9-5. My full-time jobs have always been 8 hours with an unpaid lunch break in the middle. I've had over 40 jobs and in 4 states and in several different industries and types of businesses. I always like to pick up and try something new. If you factor in commute and unpaid lunches breaks like most places, you are rocking like a 10-hour shift and getting paid for 8. On the interview for some previous job I asked what the hours were like. And my supervisor to be said in this very casual way, "Oh, I usually come in around 8:30 and leave around 5:30. So I thought okay 9-5 more or less. Cool." Turned out it was in fact 8:30 to 5:30. Half hour for lunch. I never got over my bitterness at this. It wasn't rigidly enforced but it was enraging. My sister has had jobs where people hold meetings at 8 a.m. Even 7:30 WTF. Visited a friend in Europe who works for the foreign department of some gov office. 9:30 to 4:30 or so. And about 2 hours for lunch. Sad sigh. In what world did you live in where the standard day was 9-5? For my 3-3, almost 34 years of life, I have never known anything outside 8-5-30 for standard working hours. Unpaid lunch, whether 30 minutes or 1 hour, has been the norm for me since I entered the workforce over 20 years ago. Never heard of paid lunches. A 9-5 sounded like paradise when I was working 11 hours a day. Glad I don't do that anymore. I worked in food service and a regular shift of mine was 9-7. I had no life lol. I work 19:30 to 07:30. That's standard for care in this country unless you want to do 6-hour shifts which mean no breaks. Unpaid lunch break. It's been 30 years my man 8-5 since the 90s.